Hey guys, what's up? It is your friendly neighborhood Oogus here, back again with another Binding of Isaac Afterbirth video. I firstly would like to apologize for how late this episode is. It is, like 2 days late or whatever. I decided to take Christmas Eve and day off. So I'm sorry if you were waiting for my Isaac episodes, but I was spending it with family, so didn't get around to recording it. Woke up in time to actually record this before the rollover on the 26th, so we are recording this. It appears as if we're Isaac going to Mega Satan, starting with the quarter and a lump of coal, so let's go. It's a pretty cool beginning, I'm not going to lie. I'm a fan of this so far. It is, of course, Curse of Darkness on Burning Basement, which means that I can't see shit, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. So, firstly, I want to say that I hope every single one of you had a very Merry Christmas, I believe is the way that people will say that on occasion. Ooh, I'll take wafer. Wafer sounds great. I had a great Christmas, it was fun. Had a good time hanging out with the fam. You know what I'm saying, fam? I got you, fam. Yeah, so I don't know, it was great. It was good. Not a lot of shit happened. It wasn't very exciting, but that's kind of the way I like it. I like bold and boring. That's how I like to spend my days. So yeah, I mean, I had a great time. What was really fun was, so my brother is very into board games, right? As am I, but my brother is probably more into board games than me. He actually like collects them and plays them frequently. I enjoy board games, but I don't really... I guess I don't really have a play group is the main thing. That sucks. So my brother got some board games for Christmas, and we played some of them. One of the games that he got was Go. It's an ancient Chinese game, and similar to other ancient Chinese games that he seems to be into, such as Mahjong, there's literally no correct way to play it. I mean, like, you look online for resources relating to it, and they always just, like, the rules are slightly varied from resource to resource, and then there's always just, like, one tiny little thing that makes it super confusing and makes no sense. So, we didn't really figure it out. The basic premise we understand, but there's one little confusing thing. Mostly, the confusion stems from what happens. So Go, basically, let me just explain this briefly, from what I understand so far, which, yeah, I didn't expect to get out of there without taking damage. So Go, basically, you put down little stones on this board. You put them down on the intersections. If you've played Othello, Othello is based loosely on Go, very loosely. But Go is basically you put down stones on intersections on the playing board, and at the end of the game, your goal is to have more intersections or controlled, I guess, than your opponent, and you can also capture their pieces by fully surrounding a group. And it sounds simple, but then once you get into the nitty-gritty of it, it baffles me. I don't get it. There's like one specific hang-up that I've been having. Oh my god, these are both incredible. But obviously I'm taking Magic Mush. How would I say no to Magic Mush? So the one little hang-up that I'm having, and it's probably stupid, right? But me and my brother both agree that, like, it would make so much sense if somebody literally, in any of the resources that we were finding for the rules of Go, if somebody just, instead of assuming we understood this bit, just explicitly stated it, because we don't understand it, but it seems like everybody else does. And it is, like, why? Okay, first of all, it seems ambiguous what could be considered controlled on edges, right? So if there's literally a straight line across the full center of the board, which part do you control? Which half of the board do you control, right? Because it's straight across the center of the board, so why wouldn't you'd control half of it, right? Except both halves are exactly even, so wouldn't you just control the whole board and just win? So that's confusing. It's kind of ambiguous. That one probably is easily solved, but that is part of the confusion, I suppose. Another bit, sweet. Another bit is like, why do people? Because we also, in order to try and like figure this rule out, we started watching some people play on like YouTube and stuff. Except they never fucking did this. So why don't people? Yeah, this run is awesome, by the way. This run makes me happy. This is cool as hell. But like, why do people not? So you can move, you can put pieces, from what we understand, you can put pieces inside opposing territory, as long as you surround that territory, as long as it's essentially yours as well, if that makes sense, right? You don't control it. Whoever is on like the inner bit controls it when it comes to tallying score. But if you build a fence around their fence, then you get to move inside their fence, which is relevant. It's relevant when you want to like try and capture their fence, if that makes sense. Which you can only do by making it so they have no way out, basically. They have nowhere to move with that grouping. And so, yeah, actually, let's just move. So why don't people just move inside the territory more? Like, in all the videos we watch, people just kind of like, you know, somebody had a territory and then it was just like, all right. And then they left it. Like, we don't get it. Because why wouldn't you just move in there to decrease the opponent's score at the end of the game, right? Because, yeah, they can capture your piece or whatever if you put it in there, but, like, not only you put a piece there, which would stop them from, like, I don't know, man. It's too confusing. My brother's probably gonna go do what he did with Mahjong and contact some ancient Chinese master of the game on the internet. And then go with what they say. And it'll probably all make sense. It's just, it's slightly confusing, and it makes it impossible to play properly. So that sucks. But here's the cool part. The other game he got was Dune. The original Dune board game from like the fucking 70s or whenever it was. I think it was the 70s. Dune, you probably have heard of it. It's a book. I guess it's like a space adventure book that revolves around, what is it, the fucking Atreides or something? I don't know. I haven't read the book, but I've gleaned a lot of information just based on playing the board game for like a couple hours, which is awesome. I love that. But the board game is so sweet. It's really dense at the beginning, like the immediate. Oh, well, I don't want Mom's knife. That's boring. Those both suck. I'll just leave them. So when you start playing the game, it's super dense. There's way too much shit, right? It feels like it's impossible to learn. But then you just start tackling it. You start moving into it. And it makes sense. It starts making sense. It's really cool. The general gist is it's kind of like Risk, but the end goal, instead of conquering the entire planet, because you don't really get advantages for controlling more areas, you want to control these. You want to control 3 of the 5 main city town things, I guess. They're red territories on the map. Everything else is either sand, which is just indicated by pretty much any of the brown colors. It can also be rocks or mountains, I guess, if it's indicated by black or gray. And then there's the red, which is like the towns, and then there's the middle blue, which is the polar sink. The polar sink, nobody can fight there. It's you know, it's completely neutral, I guess. You can fight anywhere else, and there is benefit to being on mountains, because if you're not on mountains, you can get swept away by the storm, or if you're in a town, you won't get swept away by the storm. But it's pretty cool. And so the gist is you want to control the red areas. And every single race, you pick a race at the beginning of the game, and all of them have different benefits. Or not necessarily race, but a grouping. and they all have different benefits, which is really cool. The Freemen, for example, who are the natives to Dune, they have this really cool benefit of not having to ship people from off planet. Everybody else, in order to get more reinforcements onto the planet, have to pay money, the resources, spices, to get people onto Dune, right? And you can only bring them in at the towns, which makes sense, I guess. That's where, like, the fucking spaceport landing pad things are or something. And the Freemen don't have to. Instead, what the Freemen do is it's free to move their guys onto Dune because they're already on Dune, but they can only move in at a designated location or within, you know, a couple spaces of that designated location. And also they get to move 2 spaces instead of 1. It's really cool. There's a lot of really tiny intricacies. The majority of the game is it's like a very political version of Risk, right? And you'd be like, oh, isn't Risk pretty political? Nah, not compared to this shit. Risk is like, I have more dudes. You're gonna give me what I want, you know? This is a lot more, okay, can I please just fucking go through? Thank you. Good God. Risk doesn't have shit on Dune. And it's so fucking cool. And here's the best thing about it. It's so cool because my brother's girlfriend gave it to him, right? The Dune game. Oh shit, yeah. And she found an online seller who had, like, taken care of it, right? Like, it's a game that's, like, older than me and my brother, right? So you'd expect most copies to exist to be kind of downtrodden or lost, you know, missing pieces maybe, stuff like that, right? This one was basically brand new, used, so it wasn't, you know, like thousands of dollars, but used, but everything was very meticulously taken care of and all that shit. All of the foldables, because you have these cute little, almost like DM tents, for each of the groups of characters, right? And they're foldable. They hadn't been folded. Like, the guy who had it didn't even fold them. Like, all of it, he even kept all the things that you pop stuff out of, like those little cardboard things with the, I don't know what you call them, but they, you know, you pop cardboard play pieces out of them, right? He kept those. Like, some of the pieces, most of them were popped out. Some of them weren't, but most of them were popped out. But he kept the pop-out things, which is really cool. The guy was just apparently super meticulous about it, and it was awesome. And the game is fun. I don't know. It was great. I enjoyed the shit out of it, and it wasn't even my present. I loved it. But if you've never played Dune, and you have an opportunity to play Dune the board game, I would say do it. If you're a person who loves board games, I would recommend buying it. I don't know, man. It's really fun. It might get boring after a while, but I don't think it does. We did only play for a few hours. We didn't even finish. Well, okay, we finished a game in kind of a weird way, because we needed, basically the goal was to play something else, because my brother and his girlfriend were leaving. This was yesterday. They were leaving back to the city, and so, you know, they wanted to play something else at some point, so we kind of hurried it along and played in such a way that the game could reach a conclusion. But yeah, it wasn't. We didn't play it like that much, but it was super fun. I enjoyed the shit out of it. And it honestly, it made me kind of wanna read Dune. I'm taking Cricket's Body over 2020. There's no contest. Cricket's Body is way fucking cooler. Ow. But I think my favorite thing about it was just that it legitimately felt like this super well thought out sort of thing. Like, it felt like there was a lot of care that got put into the Dune board game, you know? And you don't get that with current board games. Unless you're talking about, like, Catan or something like that. But, like, you know, the super mainstream ones, like Monopoly or You know, Mousetrap. Everybody loves Mousetrap, right? Uh, one of the worst board games ever, which is why I love it. But like, you know, you don't see people, the creators of games really putting a lot of care into the games anymore. There are some, like there, I guess you could call them indie companies that do make, you know, these really cool board games and stuff. I can't think of one for an example, but I know a bunch of people who are into board games, and I've definitely heard of some names of like indie board game companies, I guess you could call them. So they exist, but it's definitely, I don't know if few and far between is a fair way of describing it, but I think that's probably accurate. So many mainstream board games are just like, here's your stinking game, you filthy animal, right? So it was really cool seeing how the amount of care that was put into both like the actual little creation of the game and the guy who held on to it, you know, presumably for fucking 30+ years holding on to the game. Yeah, no, mulligan's fine. I don't want to reroll. I'm happy with that. Let's go. Let's run to the exit now. Don't really need anything else. I can't pick that up, so I'll ditch that. You know what? I do have gold key, so. But it was so cool because my favorite thing about the Dune board game has to be the art. Because the art was like all watercolor, not on, you know, individual on the board, you know, like some dude was paid for our board or whatever. But like the art, the source art for the stuff that was on the board and cards and shit was clearly watercolor. This doesn't work, but I'll take it anyway because that sounds fine. The source was watercolor, and the thing that really sold it for me, that I liked so much about it, oh, of course, Capricorn, was the fact that, right, so the way things are printed, in case you don't know, when it comes to ink printing, sorry, Jesus Christ. They generally do it in, they've pretty much done this for, I don't know, as far as I can tell, like forever. But ink printing is generally done in rosette patterns. So basically what'll happen is they do it in layers. Black layer is always going to be last, and oftentimes in a completely separate area, I guess, a different process. And they do it in rosette patterns, which is like a dots with lines around it. Like, it's very interesting. It's just in I guess overlapping dots would be the way to describe it. When you look at it in individual dot, it looks like it has outlines and shit, but it's just overlapping dots. It's really cool, and you can see it pretty much if you look into anything that was printed, especially newspapers. Newspapers is where most people would be able to see it. But the point is, rosette patterns have that kind of printing has a very slight flaw, which is because the black part, the black layer, is done separately. Oftentimes it can maybe just not quite line up, but that's what I like. So on the Dune board game, it was seriously like one dot desynchronized, like one dot off of being perfect, right? For the black layer was like one dot lower than the other colors, which I love. That's the sort of thing that just, I don't know, it makes it feel nice. Just nice. I thought it was cute. Yeah, fuck that. Yeah, fuck that. Alright. Not even gonna waste my time. But I loved it, man. It was cool. I had a great Christmas too. Gifts that I got? Let me explain what I got for gifts, because I'm sure there's people curious. I got socks, money. That's all I wanted, so I got what I wanted. I love socks, dude. I talked about it before in in a video fairly recently how when I was a kid, you know, it's like, oh god, I hate getting clothes for Christmas. Clothes suck, you know. I don't need clothes. I want toys. And now that I'm older, I'm like, fuck yeah, socks. It's so good, dude. I love getting socks. I really do. Other shit that I got though, my parents got me a few small things relating to Star Wars, which was cute. Nothing like huge or anything. They got me a pretty cool like collectible playing card deck. That was Star Wars Episode 7 branded, which was cool. I like cards. I like Star Wars. Seemed perfect. And maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll hold on to that for years. Similar to the guy who held on to the Dune board game. And someday somebody will be like, oh my god, you have the Kylo Ren playing deck with the collectible tin. Wow. I'll pay you $5 for it. Yeah, okay. I'll take 5. But it was nice. And then my brother and his girlfriend got me like a little voucher, I guess you could call it, for a free ticket to Hateful Eight with them, of course. And so we're probably gonna go this weekend, I think. It's out, right? Came out 25th, I think. But I'm excited for that because I've been wanting to see that movie since I heard about it. But yeah, I don't know. I just had a nice Christmas. I didn't get anything flashy, but I never want anything flashy, so it's perfect. Oh, and what I ended up going with, which I almost shat myself, because as we were talking before, actually, you know, like on Christmas Eve before we unwrapped gifts, which by the way, we do that on Christmas Eve in case anybody's curious. We do it correctly, and on Christmas Eve, so. There you go. In case you're one of those weirdos who does it on Christmas Day. Fucking weirdos. But on Christmas Eve when we were just talking, you know, just casually talking, my brother was talking about how they watched, you know, fucking Star Wars, right? To just see the stuff. And they were talking about how stupid it was of, you know, all of the George Lucas changes that are seemingly pointless, you know? All the changes that he made to the original trilogy over the years that are just stupid and, yeah, pointless. And I was like, oh god, because what I got them was, I basically got them the despecialized edition. I don't know, it's not like, you know, I didn't spend money on it, because it's not a thing that you spend money on. But, I gave them a hard drive that had the Star Wars Despecialized Edition on it. And if you don't know what the Despecialized Edition is, I will briefly explain it. It is a fan reconstruction of the theatrical releases of Star Wars The Original Trilogy. Because there is no such thing as a theatrical release of Star Wars. Because George Lucas is holding on to it because he's a cheap little motherfucking bastard who doesn't want people to see it. He's been holding it for years. I mean, literally, he's never not been holding on to it. You know, he's never released it. Even the very first release was a VHS release that was still not the theatrical. So basically, he's a big old fucking butt pirate. But that's okay, because fans are great. And so what they did was basically they took like Laserdisc scans, and you know, Laserdisc was one of the most common things that they used, but they basically did a lot of editing and shit to make it work, and it's cool. And in order to get it, you have to jump through like billions of hoops on the internet. It's very difficult to actually grab a hold of. Once you do it, it's fine, but it's kind of painful. But yeah, and it's obviously not meant for sale. Nobody's selling it. Nobody's using it in like a commercial fashion because that would be illegal. It is just a thing by fans, for fans. FUBU, right? And that's it. So it's, yeah. As long as you own it, which we do. We own the original VHS release. Actually, I don't think we own the very original. I think we have the remastered. But the point is, we have a VHS release, so we do own it. Which means, legally, it's perfectly fine for us. So we own it, and I didn't sell it or anything. So yeah, basically, I gave it to them. They had no idea what it was, and I was real happy. But it scared me because the way that, you know, the conversations we were having before it, I was like, oh god, do they actually know about the Despecialized edition? Oh no, oh god, my gift is ruined. But they didn't know about it. They were pleasantly surprised, and hope they enjoy it. Because I watched it, and it's good. It's always, you always get goat head at this point. It's weird. I'll take that, sure. Ooh, not bad. Rotten Baby's not bad. Those are not great. Oh, what do we got in here? We have a compass. Yeah, give me that. There's also a tinted rock. I sure hope it's small rock. Damn it. Alright, let's reroll this. Yeah, okay. I'll take Mom's Eye. Not the most exciting, but it's alright. I think we're Gucci. Let's go. Ham. Yeah, basically, the Despecialized editions are awesome. The main benefit of them is that they... By the way, I can't see shit. I'm just hoping that I'm dodging. So far, so good, I guess. The main thing that they remove is all of the just dumb little bullshit. So if you know about George Lucas's changes that he's made post-release, post-release of the Star Wars movies, the original trilogy, the most commonly cited ones of being bullshit are the ones from Episode 4. Specifically, in Episode 4, it's very clear Han Solo shoots first, right? There's nobody who can fucking argue that and agree with what they're saying unless they're a goddamn retard, okay? So, Han shot first. That's how it was intended. That's how it got released in the theaters, right? And it makes sense. It fits with his character, right? The reason that Han shoots first is because he's a fucking smuggler who doesn't fucking take shit, you know? He does his own thing. Somebody's getting in his way, alright, fuck you, I'll shoot you, right? And the reason that it fits his character when he shoots Greedo. No bullshit about, well, Han has to be a good guy because otherwise we can't, the viewers won't be able to sympathize with him. So he needs to get shot at first, so he's not the bad guy. Han shoots first all the time! He is the shoot first guy. That's his point. That's what he does. He's not a good guy. Like, he gets kind of turned to being a good guy, right? Like, that's his character arc is going from a fucking no good smuggler doing illegal shit to get by, right? Because he doesn't give a shit. That's just how he knows to be. And then he has this character arc where he basically turns into this noble fighter for the rebellion, right? And then, you know, not so noble because it's kind of, you know, he's still a smuggler. But the point is, there's this character arc to him, right? So what George Lucas is saying he changed makes no sense, right? So that's one thing that's pretty infamous. And I agree, it's fucking retarded. Another few things, there's a part where R2 is hiding from fucking Tusken Raiders, right? Behind, like, in a cave or something. And then fucking, you know, while Luke is getting the shit beat out of him, R2 is hiding, as R2 does. And then that's not a, you know, whatever, R2 can't do shit. That's another thing that's bullshit, is in the prequels for some reason, first of all, for some reason R2 exists, in the prequels, which is retarded. But worse is when R2 actually, like, fights shit. No, he's just a fucking little droid. That's it, alright? He doesn't have the power to kill, you know, opposing droid, like separatist droids or anything like that. Fuck that, alright? Anyway, R2's hiding. Luke is getting the shit kicked out of him by Tusken Raiders, right? And they're all just, right? And I can't do it, but, you know, they're going crazy. And then Obi-Wan shows up, and there's two changes in this sequence for no apparent reason. It cuts to R2, and he's hiding in the cave, right? And it's fine. It looks like, yeah, he could hide there and nobody would see him, right? But then George Lucas changed it, so it's like, well, R2 needs to be hiding behind a rock. Because if R2's not hiding behind a rock, then they can see him really easily. So then they just CG in a fucking rock in front of R2 in such a way that there's no way he could have gotten into the cave, right? So it doesn't help anything. It changes nothing except for shows that George Lucas is a fucking idiot. That's it. That's all it does. There's no beneficial part to that change, right? Except for it tells us that George Lucas is a fucking idiot, right? Which I guess is pretty beneficial. And then also Obi-Wan, when he shows up and he makes like a woo, like a weird kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's just weird. It's a weird noise, but it scares off the Tusken Raiders. It kind of sounds like somebody, you know, yelling and trying to sound like a fucking monster, right? George Lucas changed it, so instead of it just being like a whoa, or like a, no, it wasn't like a whoa. It got changed, though, to be like a, it sounded like a fucking line from Kung Pao almost, right? Like, it's stupid. It makes no sense. It sounds stupid. And it got changed for no reason, right? A lot of just tiny little changes that made no sense. Also, he added in the Jabba scene that they filmed with just a dude, and it was a deleted scene, and then George Lucas was like, well, I want Jabba to be there. So then they just put in a CGI Jabba over the actor, and then had to shift fucking Harrison Ford a bit in the shot, because in the recording he walks behind Jabba, and this was before they determined that Jabba was going to be a giant slug monster. And so in the change, when he walks behind Jabba, this now CG Jabba, which they haven't changed since they initially put it in, which means he looks awful. He goes behind Jabba, and then they like lift him up like he's stepping on Jabba's tail, right? And it's stupid. It's just dumb. So the despecialized edition gets rid of all that shit. Also, it's in like HD. The only way to watch, aside from prior to the despecialized edition, the only way to watch Star Wars as a theatrical release was basically there was a I think 2005 DVD release, I want to say, that was first of all, it was whatever, and the part of the selling thing was comes with the original theatrical release, right? And it doesn't really. Well, it does. I mean, it is the original theatrical release to some extent. It's not high quality though. It's not DVD quality. Holy fuck, my score was high in that one. That feels good. 47,000. I didn't make top 1,000 on score, but in fairness, this daily's already rolled over, so that's it, right? That's pretty good though. But on the DVD release, there's like it's like the theatrical version, and it's a Laserdisc scan, right? And that's what it is. And so, like they didn't up the quality or whatever. I don't remember the specifics. There's some term that I don't know because I'm not a video editor. I'm not a person who's deeply ingrained in video editing and stuff like that. So I don't know the actual term, but there's a term for the whatever the thing is. There's like a thing that isn't just like resolution, that is wrong with the Laserdisc thing. And so the despecialized edition is really cool because it fixes that, I guess. Because it compiles like a bunch of different sources. Just look it up. It's awesome. It's really cool. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. Again, I apologize for no videos on Christmas Day and no second video on Christmas Eve, but I had family to hang out with, and I enjoyed myself. And also, it was a nice break from recording Isaac. So, yeah, I could have recorded it beforehand, but I really didn't. I did the whole procrastinating thing, and it was this whole mess. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the good shit, and I'll see you guys back again later today with the real daily run for the day, which, let's look at it. It's Blue Baby. So, look forward to that, and I'll see you later.